Hi, I'm Figment, and today we're going to follow up again with part 3 in this short series about our good friend, the Subtractor Polyphonic Synthesizer. Now, last time we finished up the sound section of the Subtractor. Today we're going to talk about the filter section of the Subtractor and hopefully finish out at least the signal flow of the Subtractor. And hopefully today we'll be able to do that. Don't know, but we will try. Okay, so we have our climbing scale here again. We finished our section about the oscillator section. The next place sound goes after leaving all this crazy stuff is the filter section. So we're going to keep filter 2 off for now. Just talk about filter 1. A filter, if you don't know what it is, it's a parameter or a section of a synthesizer, but you could also have a standalone filter like our friend here, envelope controlled filter, but for the sake of right now it's something inside of an oscillator, a synthesizer. What it basically does is it filters out some certain frequency bands or band within the frequency spectrum. What does that mean? Well, if you take, for example, this M-class equalizer, this graph right here shows you the full kind of spectrum of human hearing, if you will. You have 20,000 hertz. I think humans can actually hear to 22,000 hertz, so we can hear a little bit beyond this, but this is kind of the ceiling. And then 39 hertz, I think we can hear down to, I think, 20 hertz. So there's like a few hertz above and below here that we can hear, but for the most part, this is the meat and bones of our spectrum of hearing. Maybe dogs can hear beyond there, I don't know, other birds and stuff, but we can't. So what a filter does is, if you keep this in mind, this filter frequency knob here is shifting through this frequency spectrum. The top here, 20,000 hertz, or I would hope 22,000 hertz would be here, and the bottom would be 20 hertz here. So if you took this and flipped it vertically, that's what this filter frequency knob, this range represents. So let's get rid of this guy because we don't need him anymore. So you can select some band in the frequency spectrum. Let's just say the dead center, right there. The first setting this thing is on is a low LP or low pass filter. What that means is, for a low pass, is everything below the filter frequency selected is allowed to pass through the filter. Everything above the filter frequency selected will be filtered out. So if I brought this even lower, only things from here down would be able to pass through. Everything above would be filtered out. So let's hear that real quick. You'll be able to hear. That's a low pass filter. This one right below it is also a low pass filter, but it's a low pass 24, which means it has a 24 dB cutoff per octave, which just means it's a sharper low pass filter. So there's a difference. Let's just see if we can hear that. The low pass 24 is a sharper cut. It's got double the octave drop per octave. Band pass is kind of, well, you know what? Before we go to band pass, we'll go to high pass so we stay somewhere reasonable. High pass is the opposite of a low pass filter. So as I told you before, if you selected some frequency band, let's just say here, and you had a low pass filter setting set up, everything below the filter frequency selected would be able to pass, everything above would be filtered out. So if I put it all the way down here, only everything below here be able to pass, everything above be cut off. A high pass filter is literally the exact opposite. So if we kept it here, and this one's a low pass, so everything below is passing, everything above is being filtered. A high pass is the exact opposite, so everything above the filter frequency selected is allowed to pass, everything below is filtered out. So let's try and hear what that sounds like. Okay. Before we go to bandpass and notch, I just want to talk about the res knob real quick. The res knob is kind of interesting. I'll use this equalizer to graphically show what I mean. The res knob, like, let's take for example a low pass filter. So let's say we set our low pass filter here, everything below is being able to pass, everything above is being filtered out. What the res knob does is it emphasizes the frequency that the band is on. So in this case, it would look like, so you have some band selected, and there'd be an emphasis, like a little hill or a little node or something. Depending on how much you raise this, the node will be taller. Depending on how short you lower this, the node will be smaller. And then if you put none there, it just has your cutoff, but there's no node at all. That's kind of what res does with your low pass and high pass filters. It emphasizes the frequency that you're on. It emphasizes the frequency band you selected. So now we talked about low pass, we talked about high pass. Let's talk about band pass. Band pass is kind of the exact opposite of low pass and high pass. So you're selecting some frequency range, let's say here now. And high pass, if you were here, means everything above this frequency band is allowed to pass, everything below is cut. If this was a low pass filter, everything below the band would be able to pass, everything above would be cut. A band pass doesn't do any of those things. Instead, it lets the band you've selected, the frequency band you've selected, pass, and then everything above and everything below is filtered out, except for your band pass. Let's hear what that sounds like. In this case, the res knob doesn't really emphasize, well, I suppose you could call it emphasis, but it just either widens the band that's selected or narrows it, instead of making a little hill like I showed you with the equalizer. The notch filter is the exact opposite of the band pass. So where the band pass was whatever frequency band you selected is allowed to pass, and everything above and below is filtered out. The notch filter is whatever frequency band you've selected is cut out, and everything above and everything below is allowed to pass. And the res knob, once again, just widens or narrows that frequency band that's now being filtered, while still allowing the high, top and bottom to pass. So that's kind of all the filter types and filter settings you can use. Filter 2, you might ask, okay, what if we go into filter 2 and you select that? I don't see high pass, band pass, that stuff. What's this about? Well, this filter 2 is just a dedicated low pass filter. You cannot make it a high pass or a band pass or a notch or whatever. That would be kind of cool. But yep, it's a dedicated low pass filter, simple and plain. The link knob, I guess we could talk about it real fast. They both have to be on. It's kind of a mathematical thing. So let's just, for example, say, okay, filter frequency 2 is on 50. Filter frequency 1 is on 60. With them being linked like this, you won't actually see it if I raised it. But if I raise this from 60 to 70, this would then be on 60. If I raise this from 60 to 80, then this would be on 70. So it intricately links the relationship between where these filter frequencies are at. That's all the link button does. And the filter button turns it on or off. From there, you have your master out, and that's just the overall output volume of the synthesizer itself. No volume, full volume, somewhere in between. That wraps up the filter section. That wraps up the entire signal flow section, that is. And next time we'll talk about some of the mod sections and other things like that. So I hope that gives you some ideas, gets your brain going. Play around, experiment. Have any questions, any comments, post them below. That's it, and I will talk to you later.